worms. But it wasn't until I opened that can of worms that I didn't start understanding, this whole understanding myself, and understanding the sense of belonging, understanding that I had an issue with belonging, which is something that I didn't even know that I had, right? And today we're going to be talking about something that it was very, very apparent in my story. It's something that I somewhat see so many of us doing these days. And it's, I titled it "Running Away from Belonging," and I hope, with me sharing this part of my story, you can understand, where I come from with this. And, for the people that have written, down the comments saying, I still can't, I couldn't pinpoint exactly what I felt that I didn't belong, or yes, I felt that I didn't belong, now what, in these 4 days that we're going to spend together, what I'm trying to do here is to get you closer to that sense of belonging. By any means, I am promising you that I'm going to solve all your problems in 4 days, because we all know that wouldn't be true. But what I try to do with those challenges is really share little parts of my story and where I got the healing, what tools I use to get me closer to feeling that I was healing myself. In saying that, I feel very, very strongly that, when it comes to a journey, of healing ourselves, it's a journey. It's not something that happens overnight. It's not something that we do once. I think it's a daily process, a daily practice. So by spending 4 days together, focusing on this sense of belonging, I really hope that, some of you or all of you can just really get closer to that sense of belonging. Because, I believe that if you signed up for this challenge, as I said yesterday, it was so hard for me to convey that message, how in my story I felt that I didn't belong, and how I truly felt in my heart that I didn't fit in. So people could, really resonate, with my story and resonate with that feeling, that it's a lot deeper than just fitting in our tribe and fitting in our society. I feel that the sense of belonging is a much deeper sense that we can, get closer to, hopefully in these 4 days together. And I don't know if you guys saw, but, I made a post about, when I left Brazil and I moved to Spain for the first time, that I was 21 years old. I had 1,000 euros in my pocket, and there was nobody in Brazil that could bail me out. As I mentioned to you guys yesterday, my family had gone through this massive, tragedy, if you like, with, my dad losing his business and his, all his financial freedom and our financial security. So by the time I was 21 years old, things had only gone bad to worse, and I could not call them and say, "Hi, can you send me money?" So I knew that I had 1,000 euros and I had to make it if I wanted to stay abroad. So it took me an incredibly amount of courage to leave Brazil. It was one of the hardest things that I've done in my life. I woke up that day sobbing that I was leaving. And although I spoke Spanish and although I was comfortable in speaking Spanish, I arrived in this country and I realized, really sinking into my mind, oh my God, I remember watching the TV and thinking, even the TV is Spanish. Duh, of course it is in Spanish, right? I was in Spain. Everywhere I went, everybody only spoke Spanish. Everything, everywhere, everybody worked different than what I was used to. And all of a sudden I realized, wait a second, this is not only about speaking the actual words in Spanish. I need to be able to really convey my message here and convey like a message of my true self, who I really am. And I'm not sure if I can do this in Spanish. And and sometimes I would try to speak to people and I could feel that maybe my message was too direct or not direct enough, or they didn't understand me, or and in the midst of like really trying to make myself understood in a different language, I started really focusing on that, because I wanted people to know who I really was. That has always been very important to me, that I spoke my truth. I left Brazil because I couldn't speak my truth there, right? I couldn't live my truth. And when I left Brazil, I have always had this really strong ability, this strength inside me that I have always wanted to speak my truth. And sometimes that can be offensive to other people. Sometimes that can come across too black and white. But I wanted to make sure that people knew who I was for real. And as I started, writing this challenge and preparing this challenge, I really kind of, for the first time ever, I realized how much that impacted me, right? Again, it's that whole healing that we talked about yesterday when we write, right? I had never really thought about how much that part of the story had impacted me. But I had this like constant, thought process in my mind. Am I really expressing myself like correctly here? If I say it like this, would they know who I am really? Like, will I be able to express my emotions, my feelings? And I kept keep asking myself that question over and over again. And then I moved to Belgium. Belgium was the same thing. I actually didn't know how to speak the language, so I enrolled myself in French and Dutch classes, and I learned both languages at the same time. And I started again going through that same journey again. Am I really conveying my message in the right way? Do they really understand who I am? Am I really expressing my feelings? And as I thought about this whole experience, I realized that we spent so much time not sharing our real thoughts and experience, because we want to fit in. We want to feel we belong, we don't want to feel separate from our tribe, we want to keep everything, good, we want to just kind of, either like agree, with our tribe, but, if we don't agree, we don't want to be, we don't want to be too hard on the issue, Or, like sometimes we have people like on social media, they, disagree with everybody and anyone, and has strong opinions about that, and then all of a sudden, it becomes this kind of completely separation, this fight on social media, this kind of, separation from, whatever that message was, so, there is so many different elements to like really voicing our opinion, and voicing our feelings, our emotions, in the way that is true to ourselves, and I, as an extrovert, like I said, that was so important to me, and I went from country to country, from job to job, and I have always, like I said yesterday, made true friends. I have always had this ability to connect with people, to make friends, and I've, when I look back, I feel that it's because I have always been authentic. I have always been true to myself. I've never hid what I truly thought, about a situation, or about somebody's problem, or something that they were going through. And I have always, really been able to connect to people at a really deeper level. But what I didn't realize, is that in this process, I got so obsessed about belonging and fitting in and expressing my true self to the outside, that I kind of really lost touch of what was going on inside me. I would always search to be around people so I can distract myself from spending any time with myself. I suppressed my pain from childhood deeper and deeper and deeper. And I did whatever I could to run away from my own company and my own self. I never spent any time analyzing, thinking, and checking in with my own self of what was going on. You know, I was growing as an adult. It was an important part of my life. I was 21 when I left Brazil, you know, with all those beliefs and all of those, you know, things that the society kind of really pushed down on me. And I had to create my new beliefs, and I had to create this new kind of me in this new environment. But, you know, I never really for a second, for a day, for a moment to stop to check in to see, you know, how is it all going inside? You know, how are you going? How are you really feeling? And in this process, I didn't realize I was losing myself. You know, with this obsessed focus of proving myself from the outside, showing my true self on the outside, you know, like for in every job, in every situation, in every moment, everywhere I went, I didn't realize that I completely lost touch of myself. You know, I didn't realize that I was still angry on the inside for whatever it had happened to me, you know, and that didn't go away. You know, I didn't realize that I kept searching for this thing, you know, that kept me going, like after I left Brazil, and I never found this thing that I thought I was going to find. You know, I never had a feeling like, oh yeah, this is what I've been looking for. You know, never. It was always like, what's next? What's next? And I never found a place either that I felt like, oh, I really love this place. No, I really feel I belong here. You know, that constant search, you know, kept me going. And maybe you can call it like a soul searching, you know, for something else, you know, because I kept going. But a part of me, you know, kind of felt free because, you know, I was away from my family and I could be, you know, that person that I could be in Brazil anymore, you know, without their judgment, without the judgment of my extended family and the people that knew me. A part of me, you know, felt happy about that because I was be able to carve my own path, and I was, you know, able to really build something that I believed in, and I was in control. But a big part of me was still lost. I was so lost on the inside that I was too scared to face that. You know, I kept trying to focusing, you know, like on proving myself, on, you know, on being perfect and being the perfect employee, the perfect wife, the perfect mom, the perfect friend, you know, and whatever I did, you know, and accomplished, you know, was never enough. You know, I remember I received so many awards at work. I received bonuses, recognition. I always strive to be the best in whatever I did. And that would give me a 5 minutes reward. That would give me such a little reward. And before I knew, I was back on that race again. I was back on that race and, you know, to prove myself, to search for more. What's next? And that search, you know, that feeling of what's next almost killed me. Literally. You know, somehow, you know, my cancer was caught, like I step away from being stage 4, and it hadn't spread to other organs, but it had spread to the lymph nodes. And, you know, as a result of that, you know, I was diagnosed with stage 3 and I had to receive the strongest type of chemotherapy. But I was very, very, very lucky. And when I look back, I feel like I had angels looking out for me. Because, you know, it was really like I hear so many cases of people when, you know, they are younger than me, girls that are younger than me, that when they get the diagnosis stage 4, it has already spread. And for some reason, mine, it wasn't. So when when I was told I had 12 sessions of chemotherapy, you know, to do, you know, after my emergency surgery, you know, they told me, look, you're going to probably feel really unwell. It's going to be a little hard challenge for you to work. And my first thought was, oh my God, what I am going to do on my own? What am I going to do at home, like with no distractions, with nothing to do? You know, what will I do? I know it's so crazy and it's so sad and it's so, you know, probably you know, every person would feel different about that situation, but I was really, really, really scared to be on my own. You know, and at the beginning, I still kept trying to drop the kids off at school when I was well enough to do that. but I started getting coughs and colds, and my treatment were getting delayed. And if you know anybody who has gone through cancer, that's not ideal. They want to make sure that your treatments are happening every 2 weeks. So my husband said to me, look, you need to stay at home. You need to self-quarantine yourself. You need to stop going out. And reluctantly, I did. I remember the first time I sat down quietly by myself after one of probably my first yoga sessions. It was not even a meditation, but I remember the teacher asking, something along the lines, just like, take a deep breath and, and focus within your body, within yourself, just find, that connection within you. And I felt a deep, deep, deep sense of disconnection. I remember sitting down and thinking, who am I? Where have I been? Who and what is my body? I felt that I hadn't been even living in my own body. What does connecting to your body even mean? After cancer, more than ever, I realized that I couldn't hide my pain anymore. I needed to be true to myself. I needed to spend some time with myself. Now, when we think about it, how busy our lives is, how many demands we have on ourselves, how many expectations we have upon ourselves. I think one of the most important things that I have ever done and still do to these days is to spend time with myself, is to really, get to know who I am really, and that is not a one-time thing. I am somebody like this today, tomorrow I might be somebody else, depending on what happens today. And I feel that like this constant checking in and understanding of ourselves, it is a practice. It is something that we need to keep doing. It's not really that we spend an hour a day for 1 month and then that's it. We know all there is to know about us. That doesn't happen with anyone outside of us, right? If you think about, how many years you have had a brother or a sister, or how many years you have had a friend or a son, a daughter, a husband, a partner, your mom and dad, how much have each of these people changed throughout their lives? And you only know that because you spend time with them and you get to know them, you give them the opportunity and the time, the focus, 100% focus to understand who they really are. But we never do it to ourselves. We're too busy for ourselves. There is, we think to ourselves, I haven't got time, I can't be bothered, this is a pointless exercise. What will I do if I do that? What's the outcome? Am I accomplishing anything? All of those kind of thoughts come to our mind, and within that, we just lose this connection to ourselves, because it gets to a point, like myself, we get so far away from our own selves. We get so disconnected that we don't even know who we really are. And I was there. I was there. I didn't know, I had never checked in with my own emotions, my pain, my suffering. I just kept suppressing them and just keep pushing it through. I was so lost. If you had asked me in that moment, Angelica, what do you like doing? What would your perfect day be like? I probably couldn't even answer that question, because I hadn't spent any time with myself. I didn't know who I was. From that 21-year-old girl who had left Brazil, I had only one focus. I needed to prove myself, and I needed to survive. And then I met my husband, and I had my kids. And that was just kind of an extension of what I was doing. But I never allowed to, stop and check in with my body, or with myself, hey, you've been going through all these challenges. Are you happy? Do you feel fulfilled? Do you enjoy your career? Is that really what you want to do? if that thought came into my mind, it was like, is it all that is? Now that, it's not, a positive way to ask a question, and that comes from a place of desperation. Because we haven't done any groundwork, we just want an answer right here, right now. Is that all there is? And I feel that is so important, that we spend time, really getting to know ourselves and getting to know, the changes that we go through life. I had become a stranger inside my own head. I had become a stranger inside my own body. I had created so many barriers to protect me in this stupid search to be perfect, to prove myself. I got sick and I almost died. And I needed to accept that, first of all, I was not perfect. I was far from being perfect. And that was okay. I needed to accept that I had been in so much pain, that I had been suffering so much, and that was okay too. I needed to embrace, my childhood, that part of the story that I just tried to forget, thinking that was just going to go away like that, with a magic wand. I needed to go through all of those emotions again. And yes, I needed to open that can of worms. And I need to look inside, and I need to sit with that feeling. If I wanted to know who I really was, who I had really become, and how I had got into the situation that I had got into. So today, guys, I invite you to really, yesterday we went back into part of our childhood that where we felt that we didn't belong. In that moment, in that situation where we felt that we didn't belong. And today I want you to ask yourself, what have you been trying to do to fit in, to belong? Is it around your work? You feel like you're supposed to do your job, so you can't fit in. You're supposed to, earn this kind of money because you want to fit in. But in actual fact, if you really want to dig deep in the answer, you just hate your job and you don't want to do what you do. What part of you is a true reflection of yourself, of who you really are? Let's say for instance, I know, somebody was telling me a story, my piano teacher was saying, I had a friend who grew up with me, and he's a surgeon now, and he told me, she has actually a couple of jobs. She's a social worker, and she's a piano teacher as well. And he said to her, I wish I had a job like you to teach piano, but my parents never allowed me to do that. This is the world we live in, guys. Regardless of how evolved we have become, there is a huge expectation that comes from, our society, our parents, ourselves, our friend group, our community, that we need, that we think that we need to live up to. And we forget who we really are as a result of that. And we compromise on who we really are as a result of that. Now, if you're thinking Angelica, this is all great, but what am I going to do about this? I can't change my job because I've got to pay my bills and I've got to do this. I'm not asking you to solve that problem here. This 4 days, this challenge is my objective, my aim is to get you closer to a sense of belonging. If you have ever felt lost, if you ever, you might know exactly, when your journey of not feeling that you belong started. Or you just might feel like you didn't belong, wherever you are in your life, it could be like myself in a geographic or physical region, like I wasn't in Brazil. My objective is that you, at the end of these 4 days, you're going to feel closer to that sense of belonging. Yeah, so I want you to really think about, where in your life right now, as an adult, as a full-grown person, that you have been trying to do. What have you been trying to do to fit in, to belong? what part of you is not the true reflection of who you are, and what part of you is lost in the business of life. We can only find a sense of belonging if we get to know ourselves, if we give ourselves the opportunity to connect to ourselves, to ask ourselves questions, to spend time with ourselves. We can't get to know anyone or anything if we don't spend any time in it or with it. And this might sound really foreign to you, but this is what we're doing here. We're asking ourselves some sometimes hard questions so we know so we go back to knowing who we really are, how we got here. I think for me that was incredibly important in my journey with this sense of belonging. I can give you another example. When I lived in New Zealand, and that was only 4 years ago, before my cancer diagnosis. After going through, I lived in Spain, I lived in Belgium, I lived in England, and then my husband and I went traveling, and then we end up in New Zealand. By chance, we got a job. We stayed there for 6 years. We had our 2 kids there. I really didn't like being in New Zealand. I really didn't feel I belonged there. I resented the weather. I resented our lifestyle because my daughter started getting sick and she had asthma, and it was to do with the cold weather. I was incredibly unhappy. But now, when I look back, it wasn't about the geographical region, where my physical body was. The problem was that I had never spent any time with myself, and and that was just pretty much a year. When we came here, a year later, I was diagnosed with my cancer. So I had spent 6 years, you can say, unhappy, because of the weather or the geographic area, whatever you want to say it, but the reality of it is that I never felt I belonged there because I had disconnected from my true self a long, long, long time ago. I had disconnected myself from getting to know who I really was and had become a long, long time ago. I had become like a stranger in my own body. And all I could do to protect myself was to be angry with the outside world. It was to blame the outside world. It was to take the attention off me and put it somewhere else, because I couldn't bear to bring the attention back to myself. The pain was too much, and I just didn't have the ability to do that. That's what I thought. Until I had my cancer diagnosis, I didn't do that because I just, I would always call, I would always describe my, cancer journey as I had run away from myself so far away that I had to take some small steps back. You can't heal what you don't know. You can't heal who you don't know. So I want you really to think about it. I'm trying to break down into chunks. We went back in our story, in our past, yesterday, today. We're talking about what in our lives, today, right now, we are not being true to ourselves. And I think that is an important part of healing and this journey of getting closer to this sense of belonging. So we're going to finish with a beautiful meditation. I would like you to just sit down comfortably, hopefully, without any distractions around you, in a comfortable position, and you can rest your hands on your knees, and you can close your eyes and take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Just one more time, take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And I want you to grab your both like feet with your hands and start just massaging your feet. And bring your focus and your attention to how it feels on your feet. To bring your focus to being in your body, to feel the sensations in your body. Then you can start massaging now your calves, your ankles, and just keep breathing. And I want you to tell your body, I am here. And let it sink in. Feel the sensations on your body when you say this. I am here. I want you to massage now your thighs. Just keeping your attention on your body, how it feels, getting massaged, getting touched, really being present in your body. I want you to put your right hand on your tummy and your left hand on top, and I just really want you to press gently and take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Just say it one more time. I am here. Slowly press around your tummy area, onto your back. Keep focusing your attention in your body. Now I want you to take your left hand and put it around your heart area and your right hand on top. And I want you to take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And I want you to say, body, I love you. Just let it all sink in. And just take another deep breath in and a deep breath out. I want you to say, thank you, body, for everything you do for me. Stay present in your body. Now gently start massaging your arms with your hands. Again, feeling the sensations in your body and the touch in your arms. And just say it one more time. I feel so grateful for you, arms. I want you to place your both hands on top of your head. Just gently pressing on the top of your fingers around as if you're massaging your head. Just really going all over around your head. You can massage your face now, around your eyes, your jaws. And just really connecting to the sensation of feeling connected with this beautiful body that you have. This body that has done and does so much for you. Just keep massaging your head, your face. And I want you to finish like by placing both hands around your shoulders and pressing down. And take another deep breath in through the nose and deep breath out. I want you to say, body, I am here for you. Just feel the connection and the love and the gratitude that you have for your body and for everything that your body does for you. Now I want yourself to give yourself a hug. Right hand on arm on top and left hand on the bottom, or whatever it feels comfortable. And I just want you to take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And you're saying out loud with an elevated emotion, I love you, body. Let it all sink in here. Now I want you to place your right hand onto your tummy and your left hand onto your heart. Take another deep breath in and a deep breath out. And I want you to say, I'm sorry if I haven't been here, if I haven't been listening, if I haven't been giving you any attention. But I choose now to listen to you, to love you, to care about you, and to connect with you. Bring your both hands to your heart. Take one last deep breath and out. Bring your both hands to the third eye. Namaste.